OKC Thunder. What did you think of just the way your team came out tonight and particularly opened and then closed that first quarter to set a tone?
Yeah, I thought, we obviously played well in large parts of the first half and then had a great third quarter. So stacked possessions in a good part of the game. Obviously it wasn't a perfect game, but played pretty well, took care of business.
And then, offensively, you're talking about stacking possessions. It just seemed like the assists kept flowing and flowing, wide open layups that you were creating. What was the key to generating all of those with your ball movement?
I mean, a lot of the layups were cuts. I thought the guys did a really good job of taking cuts tonight, both in the action and off ball. And, when teams load up the way that Utah was loading up on us, they can't do both. They can't load on the ball and then also take away the cutting. So I thought we did a really good job, especially in the first half. We were able to generate, I think, 10, 12 points just on that.
We talked about this a little bit at Portland. Will Hardy was talking about before the game, that everybody talks about you guys and how young you are, but that you have a very mature approach. He thinks the way you played those first three quarters, did that show you that approach again?
Yeah, I thought, there were times where we left something to be desired there, and it didn't necessarily burn us tonight, but we could have been a little tighter at times tonight in the second quarter, at times even in the third. But generally, I thought we stacked a lot of good possessions. I thought we played together, on both ends of the floor tonight, and that's encouraging. And I thought we got better tonight. We just have to use all these games to continue to improve.
Mark, we talked a lot this year about, just Dub as it relates to the second unit being that primary, him navigating that process of, playmaking, scoring, but being the head of that unit, just what does that do as it relates to when he slots back into the starting or closing group?
I'm not sure I'd totally look at it like that. I just think, everybody's got their own style of play. His happens to be his on-ball style of play, which happens in both units, probably happens more in that unit, to your point, and then an off-ball style of play in terms of moving and cutting. The thing that's a luxury with him is he's potent in both. You can move him all over the floor, and he's improved in both, and so continues to do a nice job. I thought he was really on the gas tonight. He was really aggressive coming into the game, which I thought was encouraging, especially off that Golden State game. We need him to do that, and keep his foot on the gas, because when he gains advantages, he makes the right plays. He finds the right passes, gets his teammate involved, penetrates the defense. There's a lot of reasons why that's good for us.
Yeah, and you talked before the game about lines being fluid. Just it feels like Meechus is part of that group that can, slide in at any time depending on the situation. Just what did you see ahead of tonight's game that maybe felt like it was a Meechus day?
It wasn't anything immediate before tonight's game. It's more, those guys, it's one of the invisible things about the NBA, but if you're a non-rotation player, if you're not playing every night, you have to put a lot of work in to keep yourself sharp and to keep yourself ready. And that work is coming with no immediate gratification. Like you're having to put the work in on the hope that you get your number called. And we've got a group of guys there that have done a great job there. So, we played Lindy against the Lakers. We played Bertans against Dallas, played Trey against Houston, played Vasa tonight. And a lot of it's just rewarding those guys for their readiness and their professionalism and giving them an opportunity to touch the outcome of the game. And I thought he did a really nice job for us there.
And just like with the Athletic, Zhang got an extended look tonight. It's kind of been in and out of the G League and back here. Just thoughts on his night tonight and then maybe his overall development.
I think it validates the time he spent in the G League. He played 4 games in a very short period of time. That's why we sent him there, was the volume of games he could get in just a week. And he's a better player. He came back obviously very sharp, from that experience. I thought in most of the minutes he played there, he really competed, and was banging on the door a little bit. And, when guys go there and do that, we want to reward him with opportunity. And he took advantage of it tonight. I thought he was ready to play from the jump, obviously. Played with a lot of confidence. I thought it really sent a good message about what you can get out of the blue.
This might be the most comfortable Josh has looked all season. What did you see from him tonight?
He's looked comfortable at other times. I just want to make sure with the Josh questions that I'm fact checking, like before the game. This wasn't the first time he's been comfortable. He played well tonight. I think one of the things for him that he's getting into the game or learning right now, we talk all the time about players having to evolve. And most of the time we talk about that, like with the Dub questions, it's on ball and it's creation. but he's having to evolve right now with the way he's getting played off ball, and I thought tonight he did a nice job of that. He found some cuts. He had really good ball movement plays. He's made good passes in the middle of the floor. That's something we've adjusted to. He had a really good offensive rebound that came off a cut, and he had some good cuts against Golden State as well. And when he's getting played like that by his man, finding some cuts, keeping them honest with the cutting, I think is important, and he started to tick that up here in the last couple games. That's been good for him, but I thought that ignited him a little bit. It kept our offense moving. He did a nice job.
You think this third quarter, you pretty much had control of the game at halftime. The third quarter, you really stepped on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about stacking possessions, and that's the solution regardless of the game circumstance. You know, if it's a tie game at halftime, you got to stack them in the third. If you're up 14, you got to stack them in the third. If you're down 14, you got to stack them in the third. That's always the solution. I thought the groups that were out there in the third quarter tonight did a great job of that.
What did you think of the interior passing?
I thought we really moved it tonight. I thought the cutting helped with that. You know, I think every time you cut somebody, you know, that person could be open, but if they're not, it collapses the defense. It makes perimeter reads easier. I thought tonight was one of our better cutting games we've had in a long time. It was a sophisticated attack against that team, in particular with the way that they helped. And then the guys shared it. You know, had a great mentality in terms of just finding the best shot regardless of circumstance. I thought Chet in particular was really good there. He didn't force tonight.
Mark, you mentioned the 4 games in a quick succession for Oos. Given your experience in the G League, do you think you have a different approach from a lot of other teams where I know you guys just kind of view it as getting some extra work, where other teams, a guy gets into the G and you can see fans talk about being a demotion or anything like that. You guys seem to really relish in getting guys more work.
It's an organizational approach. It's not necessarily mine. And I don't know what other teams look at it as, but, you know, we look at every single player as a developmental player, regardless of where they are in their career, what they need to work on, whether they're in the every night rotation, 30-minute players, if it's Shea, you know, or if it's, you know, the guy that has played the least amount of minutes, whoever that is on our team. You know, we have to use the resources we have to develop, and the Blues a huge resource, especially for our younger players.
Mark, Aaron talked about this at shoot around earlier today. Just, you know, having been in that seat where, you know, teams are sitting guys and against a team like kind of like the Jazz tonight. Obviously, guys haven't seen anybody, but that's happened to them, of course, this year. They've kind of been in that position. They're 12 in the standings. Just, have you seen, you know, past experiences like those, you know, kind of affect the approach of some of these guys on the team?
I'm sorry.
Just like, you know, being the team that teams sat guys against.
Teams have sat guys against us.
Yeah, in recent years.
I think they were hurt. I think the guys that were out tonight have legitimate injuries.
No, I mean.
I'm sorry. I'm not tracking.
Yeah, just
could be me.
Having been a team that, you know, teams don't necessarily view as maybe good enough to, you know, where you can rest some guys, like having been in that seat, just have you seen that in players, you know, affect their approach when you play a team like the Jazz tonight that looks maybe like what you used to look like?
I mean, we were 0-0. We were 0-0 coming into today, and regardless of who your opponent is or what they're doing, it's 0-0 when the ball goes up. And so I thought our guys did a great job of that tonight, and we'll be 0-0 again when we wake up tomorrow.
Anyone else? Thank you, Coach.
All right.